And I think we are live. Welcome to the ADHD Roundtable. This is an open roundtable discussion about ADHD to bring normalcy to neurodiversity while engaging in deep conversations and having fun. And these are our beautiful guests who have chosen to come talk about their ADHD experience with us today. And I'm so excited that they're here. Oh, one of my favorite questions to ask. Okay, I love talking about ADHD as in there are different flavors of ADHD. So, with your flavor of ADHD, what's your current favorite thing about your flavor of ADHD?
My mind is I get so focused and so intent. Like if I start something, I have to finish it. And it exhausts me to the point where I can sleep at night and people are like, my brain goes, and I'm like, no, my I can shut mine off at night because it's going so much during the day. My body's like, we're shutting down right now. So yeah.
The first thing I thought of was like, what ice cream am I?
I love that.
So I would say the flavor I'm doing right now is I love networking, love connecting with other people, but it really distracts me from what the things I need to get done with deadlines. And so I'm in this mode where I like to engage and be with people, but having to contain that is what I'm doing right now.
Yeah. What an interesting question. I feel, I'm like, what is my favorite part? I'm also someone who's pretty avoidant of labels, so I haven't even fully claimed ADHD. So just so you guys know, we're in the curious point of it. But I have been in a mastermind specifically for ADHD individuals, and it's been very helpful. So, I feel like I love that I follow squirrels. I see which way the wind goes. I follow where my joy and my pleasure take me, and it ends me into some magical spaces. And so I've been liking the energy of, oh, sometimes my distraction or misdirection is actually leading me right to the perfect place.
Mm, I love those things. Okay, so if those of you who are watching who have seen other episodes of the Roundtable, you will know I don't have ADHD. Such a weirdo.
Blows my mind every time she reminds me of that because she helps me so much. It's like I feel like she has to have it because she knows what she's doing. But then she says she doesn't. And I'm like, she's like, I'm trick or something, a mask.
I am probably neurodivergent in some way, but ADHD is not my flavor of neurodivergence, and neither are all the other ones that are defined at this point in time. But I love ADHDers, and ADHDers are some of my favorite people in the world. And one of my favorite things that I'll call out today, there's many things that I love about ADHDers. The witnessing ADHDers take in information is really magical. Like whether you're reading or whatever, you're always taking, in my experience, witnessing ADHD, you're taking in information in all sorts of ways, all at the same time. So like with your, like all of your senses and all of the things, and then because you process it so quickly, you're able to come up with like solutions so quickly. It's really, really fun to witness. It's so fun to witness. And I know it can be challenging because the overstimulation part, because your like senses are heightened. And so then you're feeling and hearing and seeing and touching all these things. And it's can be a lot. But at the same time, when you're in that flow of it, it's like really, really powerful.
Someone I started working with, she's like, shouldn't you be taking notes? And I'm like, no, if I take notes, then I can't pay attention. Like I just focus on the notes. So I have to like just be in it and absorb it. And then when they say suggest taking notes, I was like, okay, well, the notes actually will take me out of it. It's just one more thing to add on that's going to tip the whole thing over. I'm like, let me just do this for a second. Let me just reel this in, and then I'll take the notes I need to when I can. Um, yeah.
Okay, so what is something that, okay, with your flavor of ADHD and the challenges that you've had over your life, what's something that you figured out for yourself that has worked really well? That might be very counter to what like culture says you're supposed to do, but you figured out this like thing that works really, really well for you.
Keep your shoes on.
Oh, I know what you're talking about, but explain.
Okay. And this is part of my flavor is when I go out and run errands or go to work or whatever I have to do, if I come home and I take my shoes off, then I lay down in bed and be like, let me just take a break for a minute, and it turns into a couple hours. Or I'll lay down on the couch and I'll get into a movie or start scrolling. If I keep my shoes on, I keep moving, I keep working. It's almost like this unconscious reminder of, oh, there's more things I need to do. It's not time for me to take a break yet. Let me complete all these things. And I thought it was the dumbest thing when I heard it, but oh my gosh, it works for me.
Yeah.
I call myself a shark. I do the same thing. When I come home and I'm like coming back from something or doing something, like I either will make dinner, do the dishes, whatever, or I am out. Like if I, as soon as I sit on the couch or with the kids, even simply like helping my wife carry something up, I'm like, do we have to do it now? Can we do it later? Like when I'm up and up moving again? But if it's something I know I have to do, then I will just do it until the list is done. Like essentially my butt on the couch is your shoes. I mean, it totally makes sense. Like once I'm there, I'm there. I'm committed.
Mm. Um, I find for myself what's really helpful is actually taking stuff off my list. So I don't make my list long. I make it as a max of 3 things. And if those three
That's
things are
smart.
done, then I'm done. And if I have the energy to keep going, we'll do one thing at a time. But I'm here for a bare ass minimum. Like, what is the minimum viable product? What's the minimum that I can do? What's the minimum that I need to show up for? Because some days I have all the energy, and other days I just need to lay down. And so to stop being in the cycle of like shame, guilt, blah, all the things, I just decided to do less, and it works for me.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that.
And that's a thing that I learned from my coach, and I often teach some of my clients too, because there's something about the 3 things that also like helps set you up for success. Because then you're not looking at a list of 50 and expecting yourself to do 50 things in one day when that's not actually possible.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Completely concur. I literally have a big list, and I take things from the big list and put it on a small post-it.
Yes.
I have this odd feeling like, and I feel like the way what you do, how you do that allows you to move on to the next thing. So like if I have this stuff need to be done for work or whatever, and as I used to be a teacher, so like the day starts and the day ended. The kids came, the kids left. Like there's definitive borders, whatever you want to call it. And so now that I'm working for myself, I can always go back and work more. So like leaving something unfinished, it's not like the tasks or like, but like the other day I was working till at 9. I took a couple hours break, and then at midnight I was like, okay, I got up and I went and finished the website I was working on until 3 a.m. and then took a 4 hour nap and went again. And it was kind of one of those things that, like, that's totally not the way you're supposed to do it, but I'm so used to having little children and being awake in different hours. I used to work swing shift also, so I'm okay with just putting my sleep wherever it fits. But yeah, otherwise I have this weird feeling like it didn't. I have to finish this one more thing. There's always one more thing. So I really like your list of 3 because it allows me to put a timeout in there.
Yeah, try it out. I feel like as a self-employed individual, it's like I did not stop working for other people to work all the time.
Overwork.
Boom, no fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, okay, so on the ADHD Roundtable, we are a proponent of your ADHD journey is your own personal journey, and whether you choose to get diagnosed or not, how you came across it, if you label yourself or not, all of those are welcome. So I'd love to hear your guys' a little bit about your journey and whether you chose to get diagnosed or not, and tell us a little bit about that.
Sure, I'll start. I did not choose to get diagnosed. I actually didn't think I had ADHD, and I'm still questioning it. And I have been a scroller of TikTok. And so TikTok was just sharing with me all of these different ways that ADHD presents, particularly in women, and how it can be misdiagnosed and or just not seen as ADHD, and hearing about how different people's brains work differently. And like one, it's just everyone's brain works differently. I have a friend who is like a licensed doctor, and she was just like, if you're not a middle-aged straight white man, the DSM-5 has a diagnosis for you. And I'm like, like it's just like there's a diagnosis for you for how your brain works. And so I have been in the expansive space of like, what if I just get curious about what things support me, how I learn best, how I work best, how my energy feels best, and why don't I do things and set up things to support me in that? Something that really resonated for me is having like time blindness. You know, I can just be in a thing and then it's just hours have gone by, especially when I'm in my flow state. I teach about pleasure. So I'll be like meditating and dancing and it's like, oh, hours have gone by. And to now have gotten helpful tips of like, hey, if you set yourself like little alarms to just kind of like check in of like, hey, are you moving or have you needed to do something? Maybe drink some water or eat a snack, little things like that to support me in like taking care of my body and taking care of my avatar and like accomplishing the things I want to accomplish. And I feel like just even understanding the more colors of the, I like to call it neurosparkly buffet, like of just like, oh, all of our minds work differently. So how can I honor what my mind needs? How can I be more inclusive to how other people take in information, and being gentle with myself as someone who has in the past been prone to getting really overstimulated, and just knowing, oh, this is how I can care for myself. Or like I have the little earplugs for loud spaces where it's like it's going to be a lot of stimuli, and now noticing like, oh, there's nothing wrong with me and I'm not like not okay. It's just I need different security blankets to help me navigate the world, and I'm okay with that.
That's beautiful.
As soon as you said the little reminders, I was like, and thank you, Netflix, for the little, are you still watching?
I'm always still watching.
And then when it shows up twice, I get really annoyed. Like, why does this thing keep showing up? Oh, wait, I've been doing this a long time. I need to go do something else.
Right. I'll share my story. I wasn't diagnosed until about 4 years ago. And we weren't even, it wasn't even in the picture. It wasn't even a thought of maybe this is what happens. I grew up in a very disciplined household, and it turns out my brother and I, he wasn't diagnosed until he was 50. We both have ADHD, but we weren't allowed to have ADHD. We had to be very, you know, act a certain way and be a certain way, and especially in front of other people. And so I, went through my 20s and 30s and even into my early 40s feeling like I wasn't okay. I wasn't, because I had all of these tendencies and that society said it's not all right. And I didn't know how to get past them or to change them or to even work with them. I didn't know working with them was an option. I thought they needed to be gotten rid of. And so I went through years and years of depression. But I also was diagnosed with epilepsy in my 20s, and all anti-seizure medications are contraindicated with antidepressants. And so I was just kind of white knuckling it through the day for a couple decades. And finally I went to this doctor and I'm like, I have to do something. I need something. And he finally it was like this light bulb turned on in his head, and he goes, have you ever been tested for ADHD? And I'm like, no, but my brother was just diagnosed last year. And he goes, let's start there. And, took the test, did all these things. And he came back to me and said, you have the highest scores that I've ever seen in 20 years. He goes, this is what you need to do. We need to get you on medication right away. And then you need to learn about ADHD and start being able to regulate yourself. And so that's what I've spent the last 4 years doing, is really internally realizing that I'm okay, because I always felt like there was something wrong with me, that I was different, that I was broken. And then learning these habits, these tricks, these little things that we have to work around that.
Mm. Amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
But it's a lot of work. That self-reflective stuff, I bet. Um,
It's interesting to be able to feel like you can be yourself for the first time in your life,
yeah,
right? And no fault to anybody, it's just how we were raised. And my brother feels the same way. He's finding talents and things that he's seen now as talents, where before they were seen as, detriments or things to keep hidden. So, yeah,
that's awesome though. So you're
Hmm.
able to discover that. So, well, mine was also different than I think the typical one was. So my junior year of college, I think that's what it was. I was retaking Bio 101 again. My brain, I cannot memorize things. Like I can physics and chemistry, statistics, all that stuff I got 100, A's in, but for some reason biology, I just could not do it. And so my roommate at the time had the highest Adderall you could possibly have in a day, and his parents told him it was vitamins, so they didn't even tell him what it was until he was in high school. And so he never gave it away. He never sold it. He needed it, right? He used it. So I was struggling, and I was kept falling asleep before this midterm, and I was like, I don't want to do this again. I was like, please, can I just have one Adderall for tonight? And he's like, fine, fine, fine. And then I realized, like, all of a sudden it's the next morning, and he comes in like, "Did you fall asleep?" I said, "Yes." And he goes, "I think you need to see a doctor." And so when I took the Adderall, like less than a half hour later, I fell asleep. I felt so calm that I actually was able to sleep. And so now when I take it, I actually have to wait an hour. I have to do it while I'm in bed, so because I'll go back to sleep after I take it, and there's a transition when it kicks in that I didn't realize was happening. And so the doctor asked me three questions, and then he says, "Yes, here's a prescription." And I was like, "There's no testing, there's no nothing." He goes, "Trust me, you're fine." And so what he asked me was, one is what's the longest relationship I've had with somebody? Um, and I was like, I don't know, a month, 2 months, whatever. And then he goes, okay, then how long have you known your best friend? Or how many best friends would you consider you have? I said, I don't know, maybe one. And then the other one is, where do you sit in class? Do you sit in the front or do you sit in the back? And I said, I sit in the back. He goes, yep, that's it. So I mean, so his whole thing was about the relationships, about how I interact with other people, was his red flags. And so then after that, I had the first long-term relationship I ever had was 2.5 years, I think it was. So I was going from like month to month to month to month to 2.5 years as soon as got diagnosed and started taking the medication. And so it was like everything totally. And then I met my wife after that. So everything kind of totally flipped. And Jess has seen me on both sides, like of the coin. I'm not on Adderall now, and I think she knows that. But like when I'm on it, like I'm in, I'm on. And my wife's like, "Are you gonna take this forever?" And I told her I would not, I don't want to, but I think I need to. And so this was after we first got married. And so I went like 2 weeks without it. And she goes, "You need to be back on it." I was like, "Why?" She goes, "It's not that I don't like it. It's the fact that it's too much for me to take in." And it's like I always got in trouble at dinner for drumming my fingers on the table, shaking the floor. Now she knows that's what I do, and so she'll just like give me this signal, and I'll just stop shaking my leg for a while and start doing something else. Put a paper clip, like those public speaking tricks. Put a paper clip in your pocket to play with, those kinds of things. So um, yeah, so that's what I do. I actually take it and I talk to my doctor. He goes, it's very rare, but sometimes it happens where I actually take a half an Adderall to go to sleep at night.
Mm.
Um, and so my mom said, I always knew you had it. I thought you just would outgrow it because she was a principal and a teacher for a long time. And I was like, well, that's not fair. Like if I had this while I was in high school, like who knows where I could have been? Like I literally was planning on going to Oregon State. I knew I had to get a 1050 whatever on the SAT to get in, which is the exact average. I fell asleep during the SAT taking it, and I ended up getting exactly a 1050, which made me get into where I wanted to go. And so, like, if I didn't have that attitude of what I was doing, who knows what I could have done leading up to that point.
Mm.
So I don't know if it was a good thing that I took it, but or didn't have it, but I don't know. And now it's kind of like that out there, like what could have been.
Yeah. I love asking this question because every time I ask it on the roundtable, like everybody has wildly different stories, and like I it's so personal. Like your journey with ADHD is so personal, and there's no right or wrong way to do it. But as you could see, everyone in this space found a place like to learn about what works for them. And so anybody listening, like there is no right or wrong. You don't have to do James's path or Brittney's path or Cari's path. It's whatever works for you. And I'm so glad that James and Cari have had great doctors to help them. That's not everybody else's story either. So if you've had trouble finding a doctor and having somebody listen to you, like fire your doctor, find a different one. Like make sure that you're advocating for yourself and allowing if that's the path you're taking. Obviously, that's not a path for everybody either, but um it's a very personal decision whether or not you want to get diagnosed. And so trust yourself in that. Please, please trust yourself in that.
I would totally agree. My sister, she hates being on medication.
Hmm.
She hates how she feels. She hates everything about it. And so she refused to take it, which then caused other stuff happening, right? Like the opposite of me, exactly. Where like, well, you could do this and this and this. She goes, I don't want to do that. I don't want to feel this way. I want to find my own way to do this. Um, and it took her longer, but now she is doing amazing. She essentially had a chance to run this whole marketing office herself, but she decided to take a pay cut and move out to the country with her kids and her husband to do uh, fishing guides. And she feels better. She's lost all this weight because she's eating and growing her own food. And it's helped with her concentration and things like that. And so the intake of everything she was dealing with food wise, physically wise, mentally wise, was just not in her at the right place. And so she now has more success without medication living away than she would otherwise. So it's you do have to trust yourself to know who you are and what you need. And but it also takes a huge step, like what Cari was saying, to take that step, to do it, to keep working on yourself, and to have people support you rather than say you should do this or not.
Yeah.
When I first moved here a few years ago and I was looking for a new doctor, I went to this one that was recommended to me. And, I'm going down my list of here's the illnesses that I have or the conditions I have or whatever that I'm being treated for and that I need prescriptions for or refills or whatever, right? Just giving them all the initial things. And everything was fine until we got to ADHD. And she just looked at me and said, I don't believe adult women have ADHD. I won't be giving you medication. And it I didn't know what to say in that minute, but it broke my heart for anybody who just took her word for it because I'm like, what I went through for 44 years and how learning that I had ADHD, just putting a name to it really helped me. It really helped me to be like, okay, here's a starting point. Now we can go somewhere. And so if there's women out there who feel like feel like Brittney, that they've been watching TikTok and be like, wait, all of this stuff is kicking in. Maybe there's something to this, and there's an actual diagnosis. And then they say, oh no, that's not me at all. And they don't get the help for it. It just made my heart so sad for all those women. So I love what you say, Jess, about if your doctor is not supporting you in it. Absolutely. I mean, I never went back to her. I found another doctor. I said, I need somebody who supports me in this and this and this. And she said, I will support you in everything. So yeah, it's incredibly important to find someone.
It is heartbreaking. And we have to remember that in the medical system, the doctors are taught that this is for little boys. And unless they have done more research or like, and doctors, general practitioner doctors have to know a little bit about everything. And so to expect them to know everything about ADHD actually is not really fair for us either. at the same time, they should do their due diligence. But just remembering, like, this is not a like rejection thing, because I know ADHDers struggle with rejection sensitivity dysphoria too. It's like this, they are not, that's not their focus. So you're finding somebody else who does know more about ADHD is going to be really beneficial in most cases. Okay, we talked about time blindness a little bit. So anybody who's watching this who doesn't necessarily know what time blindness is, ADHDers have very little understanding of time. Like they don't really have an internal clock. 2 minutes and 2 years are basically the same thing. I'm generalizing, not everybody's the same. But because of that, there's challenges around time and living in a society, assuming you're in America especially, we have this whole like morality around time, and if you're not on time, then you're the worst person in the world and you're wasting my time and all this bullshit. So I'm wondering, as you have learned about your ADHD or your time blindness, what are some things that you have implemented in your life to support you with time, your relationship to time?
Well, for myself, I am a master practitioner of neurolinguistic programming. And so something that really helped me understand about time was just time. It doesn't mean the same thing to everybody. And they teach us about perceivers versus judgers. And this is one way of looking about time. And perceivers, which I would definitely say is my innate thing, is you have this, you're very in time. There's a perception. And so it's just like, oh, we have dinner in 30 minutes. I think I still have time to wash my hair, like, wash the cat or do something else, or like, like we'll get there. You're very in time. And then judgers see time differently and they can account for time in a different way. And so for myself, I learned a technique where you can elicit your timeline for how you experience time and actually switch it so that you can experience time in a different way. And so I play with my timeline and I switched it to the judger timeline, and it is very different. You like show up early for things, and like I was just like
it.
I was deeply uncomfortable the first time. I was like, this is weird. It was just not my experience of time. And so I've had this, both, I was like, okay, I'll try this technique and tool. And that's something that works with me and something that I use with clients if that's something they're really struggling with. And I personally feel like the being on time in particular way also feels like a relic of like colonialism, of like, there's this one way of doing things, and anything that is not that, perhaps like being part of a village or a community where there's this different experience of time, is wrong. And so I try to do my best to like play in both worlds of like, sometimes it's appropriate to be on time at a place and the things. And other times we got to give people grace because someone has a baby, something happened, a dog smiled at me, I had to take a moment for that. Like, like we're all going to be okay. And it's mostly fine. And it's both. I mean, I also work for myself, so I get to set the rules for for me.
That's excellent.
Some of those things that you said clicked with me also. And the earlier this afternoon, Jess and I were meeting, and I was like, just to let you know, make you feel comfortable, like I scheduled nothing after or before to make sure I'm there on time. And then what funny thing was, even though I did that, I still didn't realize it was started at 3:45. And I got home at 3:40. I was like, well, thank God I didn't schedule anything because I'm now here on time. And so for me, like something else you said, if I try to squeeze something in, it just ripple effects the rest of my day, and I'm like 10, 15 minutes late. So my wife this morning, I was going to go to a chamber event. She needed help getting the kids in the car, so I didn't go. And she's like, well, are you leaving? I said, no, my next thing doesn't start till 9. And she's like, okay. And she didn't quite get it. I was like, because I cannot start anything. If I start something right now, I will be late for 9, and then I'll be late for everything the rest of the day. And so I just went back to the couch, set a timer for 15 minutes, took a 15-minute snooze, got up, went, and everything was good. But COVID and virtual meets are like, you can always squeeze something in or plan it back to back to back. And that's kind of like what I feel like people are expecting to be there on time every time. And so even though when it doesn't work, I always make sure if no one showed up, I wait 10, 15 minutes because usually I'll get a text like, hey, I'm here now. Sorry, I was running late. And in person, that was, I feel like, more acceptable. But now when you're doing virtual stuff and people, instead of having 3 meetings a day, are having 8 meetings in a day, it just makes it so much worse. And so I feel like that time constriction has actually grown for me because I'm able to schedule so well these things and have these timelines, which I wouldn't normally have, but it's also in my detriment that I can't get anything else done because I'm just so used to just doing this stuff. And then I need time at night to do the things that I want to give time to. Because if I think I can get something done in 30 minutes, of course it's not going to take that long. And so I misjudged it, and then I'm halfway through it, like I said earlier, and I don't feel like it's finished, then I can't go to bed, and I'm still worrying about it. So the whole time thing for me is actually getting worse because of virtual meetings and stuff like that. So I still love in person way better.
Mm.
Like Russ, like James, mine, I have different things that I do or that I don't do. Like it's getting better and getting worse. I'm very much the same where if I have to be somewhere in 30 minutes and I know it takes me 15 minutes, I'm like, what can I do in 15 minutes before I leave? And I don't take into account I have to walk downstairs, I have to get in the car, I have to, and then I'm always late. And I'm like, why am I always late? I'm trying so hard. And I did the trick of setting the clocks ahead, but then I knew they were ahead. So I'm like, well, I still have
I still have
good
5 minutes.
Yeah, it didn't work at all. And
Yeah.
so, but I love what you said about how virtual has changed that because now doing coaching and doing that online, I find that when I first started, I was booking things back to back to back to back. And so if I have an hour here and an hour here and an hour here, and I go over or that person goes over, then that person's waiting for me and it kicks the rest of us. I mean, it's like a ripple effect. When I used to work at a spa, we were so stuck on time. We had exactly an hour. The first 5 minutes were to talk to the people, find out what was wrong, for them to get undressed, us to wash our hands, write our notes, all in 5 minutes. And then they had to get undressed. We'd work on them for 50 minutes. And then we had 5 minutes for them to get dressed, me to go wash my hands, come back, walk them up to the front, go change the sheets, and then come back. And people like to talk. People like to communicate. And so if that pushed me back, then it pushed every other client back. And so the virtual thing, one thing that I started doing with virtual is I give myself a 30-minute buffer in between every single appointment.
Yeah.
And that way, if somebody needs a little bit of extra time, if somebody is in a moment, like with coaching, sometimes you get people who are just in their feelings. And I really hate being like, okay, sorry, you're feeling
I'm
that
sorry,
way.
out of time.
I gotta go. Right. So I started doing buffers, which helped with the doing that over social media. But in person, I try and have a lot of alarms. I try and have a lot of alarms to just go off and be like, okay, if this like 3, 6, 9, and 12, and be like, okay, if an alarm goes off, I know it's at this time. I know it's roughly at this time. I just have to remember to set the alarm.
That's my thing too. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Like I love the alarm of, do you want to leave 30 minutes before or at the time you're supposed to leave? And so I say the one I'm supposed to leave, and then also 10 minutes before that. just
yes,
to make sure I give myself enough time. Because
absolutely.
when it's just the time before I'm like, oh, I gotta leave. That doesn't mean I walk to my car and I start driving. That means I'm finding my shoes, I'm getting my keys, and then now I'm 10 minutes late. So I need the extra transition times to collect all the things and make the 4 or 5 trips up and downstairs because I forgot my glasses, or then I forgot my watch, and then I forgot. Um, and so now that I need that extra 10 minutes before it's time to leave. So yeah.
The general rule of thumb I give people is for my clients is like, if you think you know how long it's going to take, you multiply it by 2 or 3. So if you think it's going to take 10 minutes, it's going to take you 20 or 30. And if you think it's going to take you forever, it's probably only going to take you 10 to 15 minutes.
Oh, that's fair. All right. Backwards psychology with that one.
But it's true. In every single situation that I'm talking to ADHDers about time, I'm like, okay, you didn't plan for buffer time. We need to add all this with the calendar stuff you guys are talking about. But the thing that people, ADHDers are avoiding is usually because they're like, oh my God, that thing's going to take me forever. Like,
Yeah.
okay, but what is that thing?
Usually
no.
sending an email.
Yes.
I hate emails. Oh my God, I have like 40 or 50 stacked up on me.
It's like, no, it's gonna take me at least 6 years to write that email, so better not start it yet.
Yep. And how long does it actually take you?
I know.
15 minutes.
Mhm.
And all of this efforting you did to like avoid it and be like, no, I don't want to do it. And then all of a sudden it's just done and you're like, oh, that wasn't so bad.
I know.
So like
Mhm.
when I sit down, I'm getting ready to do emails, whatever. I say this is my email time. So like I will schedule like 2 hours to get through as many emails as I can. And before I do that though, I do this when I was in school and stuff before big projects, like I would put every tiny little thing exactly where it's supposed to go and waste as much time as I could, like reorganizing my office or cleaning the things I would never clean typically. And then like, God, I really can't find anything else to do. I'll start doing it.
In ADHD world, we call that productive procrastination.
Yeah.
Oh
Warm up,
yeah,
right?
it's a perfect time to like reorganize the linen closet or let's clean behind the fridge. What I started doing is kind of like habit stacking. So I call it CEO time and actually go to a third location where none of the little regular distraction things are going to be, but I get a treat there. So it's like, ooh, a latte I really want or a croissant. So it's like we've added a reward with it and the normal distractions aren't there. And that's been my way to send an email.
Yeah. I
Another
started actually going and doing things outside on my deck. So even though I have like this nice big screen in my office and everything, I can get all this productive. I also find myself doing those things. So if I'm really just need to sit down, I'll go to someplace I usually don't work around the house if I can't drive somewhere. Today I just officially we signed up for an office, so now I can go to a third location to do.
Woo!
But I found myself at the McDonald's play place often because no one was ever in there, and it was quiet. And I'd get a Frosty or whatever or McFlurry.
Does McDonald's have Wi-Fi?
Yeah.
Oh, what a time to be alive.
So no one's in those play places anymore, and if there is, I just put my earbuds in, but most of the time it's dead quiet, even during lunchtime. Everyone's just in the restaurant. So.
Interesting.
Yeah.
One of the other things that I love to talk about with my clients is I love personifying things. So if we personify time and like have conversations with time and talk about how like, because when we think about time and just the feeling of it, all of us have experienced the like, oh my God, this thing is taking forever. Like I'm waiting in line for something and it's only been like 2 minutes, but it feels like 3 days. Or time flew by because I was having so much fun. And it's like, oh my gosh, that was only 10 minutes, but no, it was like 6 hours. So the concept of time, whether is kind of relative to how you're perceiving it. And so remembering, like a lot of times I have clients who are like, oh, there's not enough time in the day. There's not enough time in the day. And I'm like, okay, but if you keep saying that, that's exactly what you're going to experience. So what if you thought of time as expansive? Like I have all the time in the world. And there's nuances to that because if you say that, sometimes that'll prevent you from doing the thing that you want to be doing anyways. But like just playing with it, like allowing yourself to speed up and slow down time just by your feeling of it is kind of fun.
Brittney, how did you switch time?
Yeah.
I don't know if we have time to go into all the details, but like I'm curious, like you're kind of doing what Jess is talking about.
Kind of. Okay, so we'll just do it in the moment. If you guys thought about your past, what direction do you point? Just point to it. Point. Okay. Everyone's is different. Some people's is up, some people's down. And then if you think about your future, where is it?
Forwards.
Cool. Here's that way. Now, when you think about it, does it imagine a line? Does the line go through you?
Yes. No,
Sort of.
it's underneath me.
It's underneath you. Okay. How about for you, Jess?
It goes around me.
It goes around you. Okay. How about for you, Cari?
Yeah, mine goes straight through me.
Cool. So usually if it's not in front of you, if it's anywhere else, you are someone who goes through time, perceiver. So I guide people through a meditation where we literally like lift up your time and switch it to in front of you, where you can see
Oh, like
all
left to
of
right?
time. Yeah, left to right. You see all of time in front of you, and it changes your relationship to time because now you can see it all in one in front of you, and you feel it energetically. So it's a meditation and like an energy process, but you literally physically switch it. But you can do it with some people. I've had people's timelines be up and down, back forward, and from ways, yeah. And then you just move it, and it the first time it's pretty uncomfortable because it's just very different.
I can imagine like if I were to switch it, I'm envisioning me doing that. And I think it's something I've actually started doing with my wife because there's just so much going on. Where like I envision, I don't envision it, but like now have to see my calendar from left to right and talk about all these things, and it is really uncomfortable to think like, what about this? What about this? What about this? And like there's all these questions and all these things I don't really want to think about because I want to just it's just overwhelming.
Mm,
But in order for us to be on the same page, we had to do that. So I'm imagining that it's a very similar concept where you're now looking a different way. So whether it's forwards or backwards or whatever, like now you're able to see a bigger picture or different perspective,
yeah.
and you're able to like different than your normal perspective. So it's uncomfortable.
Yeah, and everyone is really different. Like my wife is pretty in this spectrum in this model of the world, pretty judger. Like when we were first dating, I was habitually like half hour late. Like all the things. Like people, like friends would tell me a birthday party was at a different time so that I would maybe get there on time. Like that is how late I used to run. And she was very much like, yo, I feel like when people are on time, it's disrespectful. And like, if we're going to actually date, like, this is something you need to work on. And it was just like, oh my God. Like, all right, well, I mean, I really like her. So it was something I grew and adjusted with. And she also loosened about. But it was also like, in other ways, I very much can see the big picture. So it's like, I host retreats, I do things, I think of things years in advance for certain things. And for her, she's very in time. She's in a map. It'll be like, where are we? She'll be like, here. But she couldn't tell you like which way we came from, where the house is. And I'm like, well, there was a sign over there. We're this way, you know? So we all just, we're doing our best. And I feel like sometimes the world is not necessarily set up to support how our brains work. And so I feel really inspired by like your sister who like decided to live a slower life, you know? And it was like, and she's thriving in that. And so some of these experiences that we're having and talking about, I'm like, is it me or is it this construct of society? And do I want to participate in it? You know? Another reason why I chose to work for myself, it's like, I don't like harsh fluorescent lighting. I don't like these kinds of like I don't like the way that the system is working. It doesn't support me thriving. And now being able to control a lot more different things in my environment, I'm like I get to adapt to how my body and how my soul thrive, and it isn't always what's been prescriptive of being successful in the world, whatever that means.
Yeah.
I taught special ed, and what you're saying is like I think people said I was really good at it and I loved doing it, but I also got to control my environment because my kids needed the different environment. So like taking out half the fluorescent lights in the room or having these other activities to alternate and do transitions, like I also thrived in that system. And so then other people didn't, and so I felt like it wasn't the same, and there all this other stuff happened because of it. But like, and I was able to get so much more done teaching that than I was doing anything else, because I got to make it my style, which was similar to their style when we met in the middle. Versus this is the classroom that you have to have. Um, yeah, and I totally get it.
Yeah.
Well, all three of you are entrepreneurs, which is really fucking cool. So, uh, t introduce yourself. Tell us who you are, what you're about, and shamelessly plug whatever it is that you want to plug today.
Go for it, Cari.
So I am Cari. I am a trauma healing life coach. I'm a massage therapist. and I am a certified body worker, master body worker, who also does energy work. And I tie all of these into my practices. So you could come and see me, and it depends on what you're here for. Sometimes we'll do, if you're local, we'll do massage and we'll do energy work at the same time. Sometimes we'll do coaching with somatic work. Sometimes we'll do energy work, coaching, massage, everything all at the same time. It just depends. But I'm the kind of coach that doesn't have really a plan. You come to me and I really work off of intuition and connecting with your energy and saying, what does your energy need right now? And so I really try and personalize holistic healing for people, but I especially work in trauma healing. Um, right now, my niche has really been with women and men who have been through sexual abuse and don't know how to process that. A lot of times they don't even know that they can, that they're allowed to get rid of it, that they're allowed to talk about it, that they're allowed to destigmatize it. And so I work with those people to create hope and to create a future for them. So that's the first thing I do. The other things I do is I'm a public speaker. I'm an author. 2 months ago, I was part of an anthology that went internationally, #1 on Amazon in 5 different countries. Thank you. I'll show you this is the book. It's called A Journey of Riches, and that's the series. The book that we were in was Unlocking Your Hidden Potential, and there are 13 of us that wrote in it. And these are all just incredible, incredible stories, all personal stories of people who have overcome different things in their lives, all personal, not necessarily tragedies, but things that put up blocks in front of them and that they all overcame them. And so it's just a story of hope and a story of love, and especially love for self. So that's what
Amazing.
I do.
What
Thank
part of
you.
the world are you in, Cari?
I'm in Wisconsin.
Wonderful.
So thank you.
Next. I am Goddess Brittney King. I am a pleasure priestess. I support women in connecting to their sensuality, their sexuality, and their spirituality through mentorship, through ritual, through embodiment practices, and through retreats. I am based in Portland, Oregon, and Mother Nature's my teacher. I have a bunch of certifications and fancy pieces of paper, but I am a spirit-led guide. I belong to a 120 unbroken generation lineage of Hawaiian energy work. And so I do a lot of energy work. I do a lot of spells, rituals, all the things to connect you to your deepest pleasure. I believe that everyone has a right to live their juiciest, most orgasmic, fuck yes possible life. And that is what I'm a stand for. And if that is something that you're interested in, I am here to support you. I have a community class happening next week under the full moon. It is called Pussy Poppin' Prosperity. If you want to twerk for transformation, you want to call in that frequency of abundance, would love to have you, and the link will be below. And I am opening registration for my next retreat, the Goddess Experience, in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. So if you are interested in that, get on the wait list. You get first dibs plus a juicy discount, and it is luxury. We are here to spoil you and for you to remember who the fuck you are.
That's amazing. I have yet to have the privilege of going on one of your trips, but I've gotten to experience one of Brittney's workshops, and I highly recommend if you're resonating with her at all. She's amazing.
Yeah, thank you, thank you.
I let's see. So I do a couple different things, and mostly I want to be a resource to other people. And so one thing that I was injured on the job, so one thing I wanted to make sure is that like I wanted other people to have the ability to pay for their homes, pay for their kids, stuff like that when they get injured and have a plan to get back to work. I've met a lot of people that could be either side of supportive or not supportive. But again, it comes down to the person and in that moment, trying to make sure that they can recover from whatever accident or whatever happened to them. So that's why I do the employee benefits, stuff like that, because it's my dad had suffered an accident. I did too. It happens all the time. And it's just not just about that person, it's about their family and everything and an extension to them. So that's who I really want to serve in that capacity. The other one is because not everyone can do everything. I started working on this thing called Shift In that Jess helps me with, and it's more of a business owner that has too many hats. How to kind of simplify that and kind of make sure you can chop those things down to be more accomplished. Social media, whether you like it or not, is a part of it. So this is one of those things where you could post anything you want to a schedule, a planner, to all your platforms at once. So you kind of just sit down, plan out the month, and let it just kind of be. So that way you can focus on your emails and your other stuff all in one place. And then, yeah, so it's mostly just want to be a resource and problem solver for other people. I don't look at the same way people do. I was interviewed on a podcast previously, one of the first ones, and I asked them, like, do you really want to do this? And they're like, yes. I go, are you sure you want to do this? And they're like, yes, let's do it. I go, okay. Well, they didn't air it because I don't look at it the problem the same way as other people do. And so if there's a problem or something you're needing help with, I know somebody. If I don't know it them personally, I know someone who does. Kind of think outside the box how to get you where you need to go. Find the support you need, find the wall to lean on to get you through it.
James is a great guy to have in your corner. I'm very grateful to get to work with him. I am Jess DuBose, and I'm an ADHD coach, and I help ADHDers get out of their own way so that they can live the life they say they want to be living. And the thing I want to share today is last month I launched my first digital course. It's called Rest Like a Rebel, 7 types of rest for ADHDers who don't want to sit still. Because rest is mandatory. It is mandatory. And we have this concept in society that rest is sitting still or sleeping, but that's not the only ways to rest. There are lots of different types of ways to rest. And you're probably resting and don't even realize it. And so you get to like recognize it instead of saying that you're tired all the time, or you get to figure out what is restful for you so that you're not tired all the time. So it is a digital course that you can take online at your own pace. But if you're a person that needs the nudges, there are email, like you can sign up for daily text to remind you to get in there, or you can schedule a package to work with me while you're going through the course so you're not doing it by yourself. So whatever way works best for you, the option is there. So I'll put the link below for that too.
I will say for all of us, we kind of met briefly before we started recording, and one thing I picked up for all of us is we definitely try to meet whoever we're working with where they're at. So it's not about pushing an agenda, anything like that. I know Jess does, I see it every day. Cari and Brittney, the way they described how they do it. I just feel like maybe that's a result of what we've gone through with stuff like that, but we definitely know that people come from a certain place and meeting them there is the best way to help them be successful. So I definitely know that's a thing we have in common.
Yeah, it's fucking empowering to meet people where they are at. I had a new client today who doesn't like homework. So I was like, okay, I'm not gonna give you homework. Here's a suggestion of something that you could do if you want to, but fucking do what you want. And she's like, thank you. I appreciate you. It's like, great.
I made a deal with my teacher. If I got an A on the test, I didn't have to do the next unit's homework. And that
Nice.
motivated me enough to get an A on the test each time because I got to say, hell no, I'm not doing this stuff.
Hella negotiating skills there. That's awesome. Well, thank you all for being here. I appreciate you. And I will make sure to put the links about for everybody below. So if you're looking to connect with James or Brittney or Cari, you can please reach out to them. They're amazing and they would love to hear from you.
Are you gonna do like a celebrity roundtable? I'm envisioning like you have so many good ones that if they're available, like you bring the whatever, like the reality TV show, like the All Stars back in different groups or whatever.
I
I
would,
think that could
oh
be a
my God,
fun.
there's some major players in the ADHD community that I'd love to have on the round table. I'm working on it, but it hasn't happened yet.
Awesome. That'd be fun to watch.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really cool. The amount of people I've had on the round table, like I've had some, man, everyone that comes on here is just amazing. So I'm excited for it to grow on YouTube and people to find it more. And I know there's a guy called Eric. His name is Alex Hormozy. He's really big in
Yeah.
business stuff.
Mhm.
But one of the things, the statistics that he shared that just hit my soul was like when people are doing a podcast, they usually quit before it's able to take off because it takes at least like 23 episodes for anything to
Yeah.
actually start. So I'm like, I'm close. This is the
You're close.
21.
I'm a living example. We did 12 episodes, and then I was over like a good 6, 7 months, like working on it consistently, planning it, and then life happened, and just be able to do. I mean, that's awesome. You just be able to stick with this. So, congrats.
Stick with it. I am in the 4th year of my podcast, and I had friends who were doing a podcast that's very successful, and they were like, commit to at least 5 years. Commit to at least 5 years. We're like at episode 50 something, but like you show up, you do it, and people find you. People find that's the amazing thing about the internet. Things stay on there. Things stay on there, and then people find you years later, and you're like, well, how'd you find me? And they're like, oh, something that came out in 2020. You're like, amazing.
Yeah. I don't know, Carrie, if you do it, but I've also been told that like even the little things you do, if you record it and just put it on your YouTube channel, like you eventually create something because of the little snippets. Like you don't have to actually plan it out. There's little things people do all day. So I started recording all my conversations with the people I meet and then create like a little newsletter for them because there's things that you look back on like, oh, I changed when I last talked to that person. And then people get to see that transformation. So there's little things that we do to help people that if we just share it, years down the road, it may be the one thing that unlocks somebody's success or something. Um, so everything's valuable.
Yes. Yes, yes. Well, thank you so much for being here today. I appreciate you all. And those of you